All right, so are you ready to dive into some seriously useful stuff today?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, today we're tackling conflict resolution and performance management, and I think this could be really helpful, whether you're, a leader prepping for one of those tough conversations,
Yeah.
or maybe just curious about, how this all works.
Right. Yeah.
So we've got two awesome sources to dig into.
Okay.
First, we have that Practical Guide to Effective Conflict Resolution article,
Oh, yeah.
the one by Yasser El Dershabi from Sky Health
Okay.
Academy.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to be pulling some insights from that YouTube video, How to Manage Low Performance from the Sky Health Learning Academy channel. We had a chance to look over those.
Yeah. I took a look.
Okay, cool. So our mission, if you choose to accept it, is to extract those like golden nuggets,
Okay.
from these sources. And we're going to be covering not just those like practical strategies,
Yes.
but also,
Really dive into the nuances of emotional intelligence.
yeah, I think this is going to be interesting. Because honestly, ever wish there was like a playbook for handling those tricky workplace moments?
All the time. Yeah.
The ones that make you just want to hide under your desk?
Yep.
Well, good news. Today, we are going to equip you with the tools to not just survive those moments, but to actually turn conflict into growth and low performance into progress.
I like it.
Right. So let's start with that article.
Okay.
It really emphasizes this idea that conflict, especially when you have teams with all sorts of different personalities, it's not just inevitable.
Right.
It can actually be a good thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, think about it. If everyone always agreed, would you really be pushing boundaries? You know what I mean?
That's true. You got to shake things up.
Right.
Yeah.
If you think about those really innovative teams,
Yeah.
they're not always like a bunch of yes men.
No, definitely not.
Right. You need that creative friction.
You need a little bit of healthy debate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm guessing emotional intelligence comes in.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Right. Because it's not just about disagreeing.
No.
It's about knowing how to disagree productively.
Right. Exactly.
And the article makes a really strong case for EQ being like that secret sauce, for navigating conflict successfully.
For sure. It's not just about, like you were saying, disagreeing. It's about understanding
Yeah.
your own emotions and the people you're working with.
It's like that whole self-awareness piece, right?
Totally.
Like before you even walk into a tense meeting or have to have a tough conversation, taking a minute to just check in with yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Are you stressed? Are you feeling impatient?
Right.
Because that awareness can totally change how you approach the situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And being able to read other people's emotions.
Oh, is that like a superpower or what?
It can feel like it sometimes, right?
Yeah. I mean, have you ever been in a meeting
Yeah.
where someone's body language is just screaming, I disagree,
Oh, yeah.
even though they're not saying a word?
All the time.
Right. But sometimes it's tough to decipher those cues.
It is.
What's the trick to getting better at reading people?
Well, it's about paying attention,
Yeah.
not just to what they're saying, but how they're saying it.
Okay.
Their tone of voice, their facial expressions, even how they're sitting.
Right.
Sometimes the nonverbal cues, they speak volumes.
It's almost like learning a new language.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. The language of emotions.
Exactly. And just like with any language, the more you practice, the more fluent you become.
I love that. So we've got self-awareness and we've got being able to read others. What other EQ superpowers do we need in our arsenal to handle conflict like a pro?
Well, self-regulation is key.
Okay.
It's about staying calm under pressure.
Right.
Think about those leaders who can crack a joke to diffuse tension in a heated meeting.
Oh, yeah.
That's social skills in action.
Right. They're not letting their emotions hijack the conversation. They're steering it in a more productive direction. I like that. Okay, so we've got those sort of internal EQ skills.
Yeah.
But the article also lays out some really practical, external skills for conflict resolution.
Yeah.
And things like active listening, clear communication, and problem solving.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones. So break it down for me.
Okay, so active listening is more than just hearing the words that someone is saying.
Okay.
It's about really trying to understand their perspective, asking clarifying questions, and reflecting back what you're hearing to make sure you're both on the same page.
Oh, this makes me think about all those times when I've been so focused on my own point that I haven't really taken the time to hear what the other person is saying.
Oh, yeah.
And it almost always makes things worse.
It does, because when people feel heard,
Yeah.
they're more likely to be open to finding a solution that works for everyone.
It's not about winning or losing. It's about finding that win-win.
Exactly. And clear communication goes hand in hand with that. It's about expressing your own thoughts and feelings in a way that's respectful,
Right.
direct, and easy to understand.
No beating around the bush.
No, get straight to the point, but in a way that doesn't make people feel attacked.
Right. It's delicate.
It is.
Okay, so we've got active listening, clear communication. What was that third one again?
Problem solving.
Problem solving, right?
This is where you put on your collaborative hats and brainstorm solutions together.
Okay.
It's about moving beyond the blame game and focusing on finding a way forward that addresses everyone's needs and concerns.
This is making me think about those team building exercises where you have to, like, build a bridge out of spaghetti and marshmallows.
Oh, I love those.
Right. Like, it's corny,
Yeah.
but it kind of gets to the heart of collaboration and problem solving.
It does.
You have to work together
Yeah.
to achieve a common goal.
Exactly. And it highlights the importance of creativity and flexibility in conflict resolution.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to think outside the box and try new approaches to find a solution that works for everyone.
Okay, love that. Now, the article also lays out like a 6-step approach to conflict resolution.
Right.
Should we dive into that now or save it for later?
Maybe give a quick overview now and then circle back
Okay.
when we talk about specific scenarios.
All right, give us the Spark Notes version.
Okay, so first step is preparation,
Okay.
like setting the stage for a successful conversation,
Okay.
choosing a neutral location,
Right.
setting aside dedicated time, and going in with that collaborative mindset.
So no ambushing someone in the hallway
No,
or like bringing up a sensitive issue 5 minutes before a big meeting.
definitely not.
Okay, good.
All right, then the second step is all about active listening,
Okay.
giving each person the space to share their perspective fully
Right.
without interruptions or judgment.
Really letting them feel heard.
Exactly. And then step 3 is where you start to bridge the gap by identifying common ground.
Oh.
This is where you find those aha moments when you realize you both want the same thing,
Oh, yeah?
just with different approaches.
Like when you realize you're both just arguing about the best way to get to a destination, but you both actually want to end up in the same place.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Right. And that sets the stage for step 4, exploring solutions collaboratively.
Okay.
This is where you brainstorm together, get creative, and try to find that win-win outcome.
2 heads are better than 1.
Exactly. And once you've come up with a solution, step 5 is about making a plan
Okay.
and getting specific about next steps,
Okay.
who's doing what, by when, and how you'll measure success.
So it's not just a vague agreement. It's a
Yeah.
concrete action plan.
Exactly. And the final step,
Let's hear it.
following up and reviewing. This is about making sure the solution is actually working
Gotcha.
and making adjustments as needed.
So it's not a one and done deal.
It's not you're checking in, revisiting the agreement, and making sure everyone's on track.
I like it. That whole process sounds super valuable
Yeah.
because it just provides like structure, clarity, and fairness to the whole conflict resolution process.
Yeah, takes the guesswork out of it.
Right. So you don't just like go in blind.
No,
You have a roadmap.
you do.
Okay. So we've talked about conflict resolution just like in general.
Right.
But what about when conflict arises because of performance issues?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other
Right.
ball game.
And that YouTube video that we have,
Right.
it like really goes deep into strategies for managing low performance.
Yeah, it does.
And one of the things that like really stood out to me was the importance of being able to spot those early warning signs.
Yeah.
Like before they become major problems.
That's absolutely crucial.
Right. Because so often low performance doesn't just like appear out of nowhere.
No, it doesn't.
There are often like these subtle cues or changes in behavior or work habits
Yeah,
that if we're paying attention can give us a heads up.
for sure.
It's like noticing like a small crack in the foundation of a house,
Right.
right? If you address it early on, you can like prevent a major structural issue down the road.
I like that analogy. And the video highlights some really helpful indicators to watch out for.
Okay, like what? Spill the tea.
Mm.
What are those red flags that we need to be on the lookout for?
Well, one of the first signs is a change in attitude.
Okay.
You know, that team member who was always upbeat and engaged
Yeah.
suddenly seems withdrawn or negative. Maybe they're quieter in meetings.
Whoa.
Or they're not contributing ideas like they used to.
Oh, I've totally seen that happen. Sometimes it's subtle,
Right.
but you can just like sense that something's off.
Exactly. And it's important not to brush those changes aside.
Right.
It could be a sign that they're struggling with something. Maybe they're feeling overwhelmed or they're not feeling challenged enough.
Right. So it's like a good opportunity to just check in with them.
For sure.
Maybe just say like, hey, I've noticed you seem a little quiet lately. Is everything okay?
Exactly. Just a simple, genuine check-in can make a world of difference. It shows them that you're paying attention and that you care.
And sometimes just having someone acknowledge what they're going through can be enough to like open up a dialogue
Yeah,
and start working towards a solution.
absolutely.
Now, another early sign the video mentions is like a sudden increase in requests for personal benefits,
Oh, interesting.
right? Like a raise or a title change,
Okay,
but without a corresponding commitment to growth or development.
I see.
So it's not that wanting a raise or a promotion is a bad thing.
No, not at all.
It's more about the motivation behind it.
Right, it's about making sure those aspirations are aligned with their performance and their willingness to put in the work to earn it.
Makes sense if someone's constantly asking for more without demonstrating a commitment to growing their skills
Mm-hmm.
or taking on more responsibility. That could be a red flag.
Exactly. And then there's the flip side of that.
Oh, what's that?
The team member who talks a big game about wanting to grow,
Okay.
but doesn't actually take any initiative to engage with learning opportunities.
Oh, I've seen that one too. They might ask for training or development,
Right?
but when you provide the resources, they don't seem interested in actually using them.
It can be frustrating.
It can.
And it's important to address it head on,
Okay.
gently steer them towards action.
Right.
Maybe say something like, I know you were interested in developing your presentation skills. Have you had a chance to check out those online workshops I sent you?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because you're not accusing them of anything.
Right.
You're just gently reminding them
Yeah.
of the resources that are available
Exactly.
and encouraging them to like
Yeah.
take ownership.
Ownership. That's the key.
Right, because at the end of the day, growth is a two-way street.
It is.
It's about the company providing opportunities,
Yeah.
but it's also about the individual taking initiative and putting in the effort.
Totally.
Now, beyond those like more subtle signs, the video also talks about some more concrete indicators of low performance,
Right.
like inconsistent quality of work
They're in this.
or missed deadlines.
Right. This is where you might see a pattern emerging.
Okay.
Maybe someone who was previously very reliable starts delivering work that's below their usual standard
Right.
or consistently misses deadlines.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to address these issues early on,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like before they escalate.
Before they snowball, yeah.
Because the longer you let it go,
Yeah,
the more difficult it can be to turn things around.
right. Much harder.
Okay, so let's say you've noticed some of these early signs, or maybe things have progressed to a point where there's like a clear pattern of underperformance.
Right.
What are the next steps? Like, how do you actually approach the situation with the team member?
Well, the video emphasizes the importance of having a clear, direct conversation with the team member,
Okay.
and it starts with resetting expectations.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right.
Because sometimes those expectations get fuzzy over time,
They do.
or maybe they weren't clearly communicated in the first place.
Right, exactly.
So this conversation is about outlining the specific areas where they're falling short.
Okay. And setting clear, measurable goals for improvement.
It's like hitting the reset button
I like that.
and getting everyone back on the same page.
Exactly. And the video stresses the importance of making this a two-way conversation and support mechanisms for the team member to get back on track.
So it's like a roadmap for improvement.
It is a roadmap.
Okay, so it's a bit more structured than just having a casual conversation.
Right. And it's important to note that creating a PIP should always be done in consultation with HR
Okay.
to make sure you're following all the proper procedures
Right.
and protecting both the company and the employee.
Makes sense. So walk me through it. What are some of the like key elements of a PIP?
Well, first and foremost, you need to establish clear, achievable objectives.
Okay.
And it's helpful to break those down into smaller milestones
Okay.
so the team member can see tangible progress along the way.
So instead of just saying improve your communication skills,
Right.
you might say by date, you will be able to effectively lead a team meeting and provide clear and concise updates in written reports.
Exactly. The more specific you can be, the better.
Okay.
And the video also emphasizes the importance of outlining the support that will be provided. This might include things like additional training, mentoring, or even just regular check-in meetings to discuss progress and address any challenges.
So it's not about like throwing them into the deep end and saying sink or swim.
No.
It's about providing the tools and support
Exactly.
that they need to actually succeed.
You got it. And those regular check-ins are crucial.
Okay.
It creates a feedback loop that allows for ongoing adjustments and support.
Okay.
It's not a one-time thing. You're meeting regularly,
Yeah.
discussing progress, identifying obstacles, and making sure everyone's on the same page.
This is making me think about those fitness trackers that people wear.
Haha.
Where you're constantly monitoring your progress, making adjustments to your routine,
Yeah.
and celebrating those small wins along the way.
I love that analogy because it highlights the importance of consistency and accountability
Right.
in the performance improvement process.
Okay, but let's be real for a sec.
Okay.
Not every PIP is like a success story.
You're right. That's true.
What happens when, despite everyone's best efforts,
Yeah.
there's just no improvement?
That's a tough situation, but it's important to be prepared for it.
Okay.
The video stresses that if a PIP isn't working,
Right.
it might be time to consider other options.
Okay.
This could involve adjusting the PIP, modifying the goals, or exploring alternative roles within the organization.
Okay.
That might be a better fit for the team members' skills and interests.
So it's not just about like giving up on them.
Right.
It's about trying to find a solution that works for everyone involved.
Exactly. And again, HR should be involved throughout this process to ensure that everything is handled fairly and transparently.
Makes sense. Now, one thing that really resonated with me from the video was the emphasis on protecting yourself as a manager
Oh, yeah.
when dealing with performance issues.
Absolutely.
Because, let's be honest, these conversations can be tough.
They can be.
And sometimes they don't go as smoothly as we'd like. So what are some practical steps that managers can take to protect themselves in these situations?
Well, the video highlights the importance of thorough documentation.
Okay.
Every conversation, every email, every piece of feedback,
Right?
it all needs to be documented.
Okay.
This creates a clear and objective record of the process,
Mm-hmm.
which can be invaluable if any issues arise down the line.
It's like having a paper trail to back up your actions and decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in addition to documentation, the video also emphasizes the importance of transparency.
Yeah.
Instead of having like vague conversations behind closed doors, be upfront with the team member about the process.
Okay.
Let them know that you're putting together a PIP and that you're there to support them every step of the way.
That openness can make a huge difference.
It can.
It shows that you're not trying to play games
Right.
or catch them off guard.
Right.
You're being straightforward and honest.
Exactly. And it helps to build trust, which is essential in any performance management situation.
Okay, now the video also mentions the importance of understanding and adhering to the organization's anti-retaliation policy.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So anti-retaliation policies are designed to protect employees from adverse actions.
Okay.
If they raise concerns, report issues, or participate in certain proceedings, like performance reviews.
So it's about creating a safe space where people feel comfortable speaking up
Exactly.
without fear of being punished
Right.
or treated unfairly.
You got it. And managers need to be familiar with these policies
Right.
and make sure they're acting in a way that upholds them.
No, it's not just about avoiding like blatant acts of retaliation.
No.
It's about creating a culture where retaliation is simply not tolerated.
You nailed it. And when that culture is in place, it benefits everyone.
Right.
Employees feel empowered to speak up, managers can lead with integrity, and the organization as a whole is more likely to innovate and thrive.
This is making me think about like the hashtag #MeToo movement and how it empowered so many people to come forward and share their experiences without fear of retribution.
That's a powerful example.
Right.
And it highlights the importance of creating a workplace where everyone feels safe and respected.
Right. So in addition to those like formal policies, I think it's also important for managers to just be mindful of their own behavior
Absolutely.
and make sure they're treating all team members fairly and consistently.
It's about leading by example
Right.
and demonstrating the behaviors you want to see in others.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about recognizing early signs of low performance, resetting expectations, creating PIPs, protecting yourself as a manager, and fostering a culture of transparency and respect.
Yeah, a lot to digest. But I think these are all essential elements of effective performance management.
I agree.
And if we connect all of this back to the idea of emotional intelligence that we talked about earlier,
Yeah,
it really highlights the importance of empathy, self-awareness,
right.
and the ability to build strong relationships.
Totally, because at the end of the day, we're all human
We are.
and we all make mistakes.
We do.
And the goal of performance management shouldn't be to punish people.
Right.
It should be to help them grow and reach their full potential.
Well said.
So I think that's like a perfect segue
Okay.
into the final part of our deep dive,
Right.
where we'll explore this concept of anti-retaliation policies in more depth
Okay.
and discuss how we can create like a truly ethical and human-centered workplace.
Sounds good. Okay, so, we left off talking about how to spot those early warning signs of low performance.
Right, right.
And I think we were about to dive into what happens when things have kind of progressed
Yeah.
a little bit further.
Like, what do you do when you have to actually address the situation?
Exactly. And the video really emphasizes
Yeah.
the importance of having this clear, direct conversation with the team member.
Gotcha.
And it starts with resetting expectations.
Okay, so sometimes I guess those expectations can kind of get fuzzy over time, or maybe they weren't super clearly communicated to begin with.
Right, exactly.
So you're basically hitting the reset button
Yeah.
and getting everyone back on the same page.
I like that. It's a good visual.
Right.
And the video also stresses that it's super important to make this a two-way conversation.
Okay.
It's not just about dictating expectations.
Right.
It's about inviting the team member to share their perspective,
Okay.
ask questions, and really understand what success looks like in their mind.
So it's creating that collaborative environment where they feel supported
Right.
in their efforts to improve.
Exactly.
Not like they're being put on trial.
You got it.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
But what happens if you try to reset those expectations
Yeah.
and you're still not seeing the improvement that you're looking for?
Right.
What's next?
Well, if resetting expectations doesn't lead to the desired improvement,
Yeah.
the video suggests taking things a step further
Okay.
by creating a performance improvement plan.
Okay.
Or PIP for short.
A PIP. Okay, I've heard that term thrown around. But to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what a PIP really involves.
Yeah, a PIP is basically a formal document
Okay.
that outlines specific goals,
Okay.
timelines, and support mechanisms
Okay.
for the team member to kind of get back on track.
So it's like a roadmap.
Exactly, a roadmap.
Okay, so definitely a little bit more structured
Yeah.
than just
Yeah.
having that casual conversation.
Right, and it's important to note that creating a PIP
Yeah.
should always be done in consultation with HR.
Right, to make sure everything is legit.
Exactly, to make sure you're following all the proper procedures and protecting both the company and the employee.
Okay, that makes sense. So walk me through it. What are some of the key elements
Yeah.
of a PIP?
Well, first and foremost,
Yeah.
you need to establish clear, achievable objectives.
Gotcha.
And it can be really helpful to break those down into smaller milestones.
Okay.
So the team member can see tangible progress.
Right, like little wins along the way.
Exactly. So instead of just saying, improve your communication skills.
Right, that's super vague.
Yeah, very broad.
You need something more concrete.
You do. You might say something like, by date, you will be able to effectively lead a team meeting and provide clear and concise updates in written reports.
Okay, much more specific.
Much more specific, yes.
So the team member knows exactly what they're working towards.
Exactly. And the video also emphasizes the importance of outlining the support
Okay.
that will be provided.
Right, because you're not just leaving them high and dry.
No, not at all.
You're actually giving them the resources they need.
Exactly. This might include things like, additional training, mentoring,
Okay.
or even just regular check-in meetings
Okay.
to discuss progress and address any challenges.
So it's not about throwing them into the deep end
Yeah.
and being okay, sink or swim.
Right. No, it's about providing the tools and the support they need to succeed.
I like that as a much more supportive approach.
Absolutely. And those regular check-ins are crucial
Okay, why is that?
because it creates a feedback loop
Okay,
that allows for ongoing adjustments and support.
gotcha.
It's not a one-time thing.
Okay.
You're meeting regularly, discussing progress, identifying obstacles, and making sure everyone's still on the same page.
This is making me think about those fitness trackers that people wear.
Okay, yeah?
Where you're constantly monitoring your progress, making adjustments to your routine,
Mm-hmm.
and celebrating those small wins along the way.
I love that analogy.
Right.
It really highlights the importance of consistency and accountability
Yeah.
in the performance improvement process.
Okay, so we've got this great plan in place. We're checking in regularly, providing support. But what if, despite all of that,
Yeah.
the team member is still not improving?
Right.
What do you do then?
Well, let's be real.
Yeah.
Not every PIP is a success story.
Right.
And it's important to be prepared for that.
Okay.
The video emphasizes that if a PIP isn't working,
Yeah.
it might be time to consider other options.
Okay, like what?
Well, this could involve like adjusting the PIP itself,
Okay.
maybe modifying the goals,
Right.
or even exploring alternative roles within the organization
Okay.
that might be a better fit for the team members' skills and interests.
So it's not just about giving up on the person.
No, definitely not.
It's about trying to find a solution.
Yeah.
That actually works for everyone.
Exactly. And again, HR should be involved throughout this entire process.
Right. To make sure everything is above board.
Exactly. To ensure that everything is handled fairly and transparently.
Okay, makes sense. Now, something that really stuck with me from the video
Yeah.
was this idea of protecting yourself as a manager when you're dealing with these performance issues.
Absolutely. That's so important.
Because let's face it, these conversations can be tough,
They can.
and sometimes they don't go as smoothly as we hope.
No, they don't.
So what are some things that managers can do to kind of protect themselves in these situations?
Well, the video highlights the importance of thorough documentation.
Okay, so we're talking about like every conversation?
Every conversation, email,
Okay.
piece of feedback.
Okay,
It all needs to be documented.
got
This
it.
creates this clear, objective record of the process,
Right.
which can be really valuable
Yeah.
if any issues come up down the line.
It's like having that paper trail to back up your actions and decisions.
Exactly. And in addition to documentation,
Yeah.
the video also talks about the importance of transparency.
Okay.
So instead of having these like vague conversations behind closed doors,
Right.
be upfront with the team member about the process.
Right.
Let them know that you're putting together a PIP
Okay.
and that you're there to support them every step of the way.
Okay, so that openness can really make a difference.
Huge difference, yeah.
It shows that you're not trying to like play games
Right.
or catch them off guard.
Yeah, no hidden agendas.
You're just being straightforward and honest.
Exactly. And it helps to build trust,
Right.
which is so essential in any performance management situation.
Now, the video also mentions the importance of understanding and adhering to the organization's anti-retaliation policy.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Of course. So anti-retaliation policies are designed to protect employees from any sort of adverse action.
Okay.
If they raise concerns,
Okay.
report issues, or participate in certain proceedings like, performance reviews.
So it's about creating a space where people feel comfortable speaking up
Exactly.
without being afraid of being punished or
right.
treated unfairly.
You got it. And managers need to be familiar with these policies and
Right.
make sure that they're acting in a way that upholds them.
So it's not just about avoiding like those blatant acts of retaliation.
Right.
It's about creating a culture where retaliation is just not tolerated.
Absolutely. You nailed it.
And when that culture is in place,
Yeah,
it benefits everyone.
it does.
Employees feel empowered to speak up.
Right.
Managers can lead with integrity.
Exactly.
And the organization as a whole is more likely to innovate and thrive.
For sure.
This is making me think about the hashtag #MeToo movement
Yeah,
and how it empowered so many people to come forward
absolutely.
and share their experiences without fear of retribution.
Powerful example.
And it just highlights how important it is
Mm-hmm.
to create a workplace where everyone feels safe and respected.
100% agree.
So I think in addition to those formal policies,
Yeah.
it's important for managers to just be mindful of their own behavior
For sure.
and make sure that they're treating all team members fairly and consistently.
Absolutely. Leading by example.
Right.
Demonstrating those behaviors that you want to see in others.
Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have.
We've talked about recognizing those early signs of low performance, resetting expectations, creating those performance improvement plans, protecting yourself as a manager, and fostering a culture of transparency and respect.
Yeah, lots to unpack.
So what stands out to you
Yeah.
as like the biggest takeaway from all of this?
Well, I think for me, it's how interconnected all of these different pieces are. We can have the best strategies and the best plans,
Yeah.
but without that foundation of emotional intelligence
Yeah.
and a commitment to ethical leadership,
Right.
it's all for nothing.
It's all for nothing. It's true. You can have the best plan,
Yeah.
but if you don't have that human element,
Right.
it's not going to work.
Exactly.
And it's about creating that human-centered workplace
Absolutely.
where people feel supported,
Yeah.
valued,
Yes.
and empowered to do their best work.
Could not have said it better myself. So we were talking about creating this like human-centered workplace.
Right, like a workplace where people feel safe to speak their minds.
Exactly. And I think that's a perfect segue into talking about anti-retaliation policies.
Okay, yeah, because it's not just about legal stuff.
No, not at all.
It's about creating a culture where people feel comfortable
Right.
speaking up without fear of consequences.
Absolutely. When those policies are like really woven into the fabric of a workplace,
Hmm.
you can just feel it.
Yeah.
People are more likely to like raise concerns, offer suggestions. Right.
Even challenge the status quo
Right.
without that fear of what's going to happen to me if I speak up.
Okay, so I totally get that in theory. But can you like paint a picture for me? What does that kind of environment actually look like?
Okay, imagine a team working on like a big project,
Okay.
and there's a snag, a genuine concern about the direction things are going
Yeah.
in a workplace with a strong anti-retaliation culture.
Okay.
That team member doesn't hesitate to voice their worries.
Mm-hmm.
There's no whispering in the hallways,
Right.
no looking over their shoulder.
Right.
They bring it up directly,
Okay.
knowing that they'll be heard
Right.
and that their opinion is valued.
That sounds amazing, but realistically, we both know it's not always that simple.
You're right.
So how do these policies actually protect employees? Like beyond just words on paper, how do they make a difference?
Well, I think they create this clear boundary.
Okay.
It's like saying to employees, your voice matters here, and you won't be punished for using it.
And it's not just about like the big obvious stuff.
Okay.
A good policy protects against those subtle forms of retaliation too.
Okay.
Being excluded from key meetings,
Right.
passed over for opportunities, or suddenly finding yourself micromanaged.
Oh, yeah, those little things that can really add up.
Exactly. It's like death by 1,000 cuts.
So this makes me think about, like, how can managers make sure they're acting in a way that upholds these policies?
That's a great question.
We've talked about documentation
Right.
involving HR,
Yeah.
but what else can a leader do to, like, really walk the walk?
I think transparency is key.
Okay.
Instead of those like closed door, we need to talk conversations.
Yeah.
Be upfront about the process. If
Right.
you're managing someone who's underperforming,
Yeah.
don't beat around the bush.
Right.
Say something like, hey, we're putting together a performance improvement plan to help you succeed. Here's what it involves, and I'm here to support you every step of the way.
Okay, so that directness can really make a difference. It shows that you're not trying to, like, play games
Right.
or make someone feel like they're in trouble.
Exactly, and it models the behavior that
Yeah.
you want to see throughout the team.
Right.
Openness, honesty,
Right.
and a focus on solutions.
So basically, these anti-retaliation policies aren't just about preventing negative actions. They're about creating a culture of respect
Yeah.
where open communication is the norm.
You nailed it.
And when that culture takes root, it benefits everyone.
It does.
Right? Employees feel empowered, managers can lead with integrity, and the organization as a whole is more likely to, like, innovate and thrive.
For sure.
Wow. Okay, so we covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We talked about understanding our own emotions,
Right.
navigating those tough conversations,
Mhm.
creating performance plans,
Yeah.
and building that culture of ethical behavior.
It's a lot.
It is. What stands out to you as, like, the biggest takeaway from all of this?
Well, for me, it's really how interconnected all of these pieces are. We can have the best strategies in the world,
Right.
but without that foundation of emotional intelligence
Yeah.
and a true commitment to ethical leadership,
Hmm.
it's all for nothing.
I totally agree. Like, you can have the perfect plan on paper,
Right.
but if you don't have that human element,
Yeah,
it's not going to work.
exactly.
So it's about creating that more human-centered workplace, a
Absolutely.
place where people feel supported,
Yes.
valued,
Mm-hmm.
and empowered to do their best work.
Could not have said it better myself.
I think that's a great place to wrap up. Thanks for diving deep with us today. And remember, whether you're leading a team or navigating your own career, approaching conflict with EQ and a structured plan can turn those challenges into opportunities for growth. Think about a current conflict you're facing. How can you apply what we've discussed? And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Lean on your support system, HR, mentors, trusted colleagues. Keep learning, keep growing. You've got this.